Welcome to the Watchtower Weekly, the inaugural broadcast of the Tsunami podcast, hosted by me, Brady Lynn, the play-by-play man. So every week we're gonna do a weekly review of the league, and then we'll do a brief review of the past week and look ahead of the Coastal Tsunami. And then we'll have an interview with player, coaches, bus drivers, anybody involved in the Tsunami. So I hope that it turned into something that you can enjoy watching once a week to keep up with the ongoings of the Tsunami. So as I said, we'll start with the PJHL overall view, and we'll have a look at the standings. So anybody following along so far this year, we know that the Richmond Sockeyes are the number one team in the league. They're sitting atop of the division with 48 points. Then, of course, last year's champions, the Ridge Meadow Flames, are in second place at 32 points. And then it tightens up a lot with Chilliwack in third, Delta in fourth, the Tsunami in fifth, Langley, Poco, and Burnaby bringing up the lead. So that leaves the Tsunami in fifth place. But unfortunately, they've got about 5 to 6 games in hand on most teams. So this is going to change a lot depending on how the teams do against each other. Could leave the Tsunami a little bit further down the league. But so far this year, I think it's been a pretty good year for the start of the year for our second year in the league. So now let's go back and look at this week in the division. On Thursday, we know that the Tsunami beat Richmond 4-1, and we'll go over that a little in more review during the Tsunami section. On Friday night, Richmond bounced back, beating Port Coquitlam 4-3 in overtime, with the overtime winners being scored by David Yoon. Ridge Meadow beat Burnaby 7-3. Natural hat trick in the first period by Zach LaGrange. He ended up with 4 goals. And surprisingly, Roland Amen of Burnaby got all 3 goals, so there was 2 hat tricks in that game. So that would have been a fun game to watch. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but it's a good one to go back on Flow Hockey and check out if you're looking for an exciting game, because there was lots of entertainment in that game. Joshua Betzworth also got a pair for Ridge Meadows in that one. On Saturday, December 6th, Langley beat the Tsunami 5-1, which we will go over again in the Tsunami portion of the podcast. Poco, Port Coquitlam, or like most people call him, Poco beat Chilliwack 4-3 in regulation. Keegan Beneker was the first star with 3.9, a goal and 2 assists. Then on Sunday, December 7th, Ridge Meadow beat Burnaby 1-0. Sam Allen with the game winner with 3 minutes and 30 seconds into the third period, and Matthew Canduso getting the shutout for Ridge Meadow. Sunday night in Chilliwack, Delta beat Chilliwack 6-3. Hat trick weekend, as Grady Lenton had a hat trick in that one as well. So 3 hat tricks this past weekend in the league. So that was last week. This week's game's coming up. Thursday night, Polk will take on Richmond in Richmond. Friday, Langley travels to Port Coquitlam. Delta travels to Ridge Meadows. Saturday night, Ridge Meadows goes to Richmond, and battle of the top 2 teams in the league. Burnaby travels to Delta, and on Sunday, Port Coquitlam at Burnaby, and Chilliwack hosts our Coastal Tsunami. Also on Saturday night, sorry, I missed that one, Langley at Chilliwack. So that's it for the league in review. Or pardon me, now we'll do, this is the first one, so there'll be some bumps in the road, and of course, because it's me, there'll be bumps in the road. So now the next section, we'll look at the league leaders. So the goal leaders at this point right now from Delta, Grady Lenton with 32 goals. David Yoon in Richmond is in second place with 25 goals. And Dylan Nazareth from Richmond has 20 goals. Assist leaders, Matthias Ueda from Richmond has 38. David Yoon has 34. And William Ho, again from Richmond, has 32. Power play goals, Max Wingrove from Ridge Meadows has 8 power play goals. Grady Lenton from Delta and Teo Lin from Richmond also have 8. So 3 guys with 8. Overall points leaders, David Ewan from Richmond has 25 goals, 34 assists, and 59 points in 27 games. Grady Lenton from Delta has 32 goals, 19 assists for 51 points in 26 games. Matthew Ueda is in third place with 10 goals and 38 assists for 48 points in 25 games. Marcus Jack from Coquitlam with 14 goals and 28 assists for 42 points in 26 games. And William Ho from Richmond rounds out the top 5 with 10 goals, 32 assists for 42 points in 26 games. Goaltending leaders, minimum 15 games. Number 1 in the league right now is Massimo Urbani from Richmond with a 2.14 goals against average, a .922 save percentage. Matthew Canduso from Ridge Meadows in second place with 2.9 goals against average and a .915 save percentage. And Derek Sparks from Chilliwack in 19 games has a 3.18 goals against and a 9.15 save percentage. So that'll do it for the league we can review. And now we'll get into the local Tsunami boys. A bit of an up and down week. Started Wednesday night in Delta, where they lost 6-2. They were outshot 39-24. And watching that game, it wasn't as bad. Like, it didn't seem as bad. Like, it wasn't like a game where I watched and I was like, oh my God, they just got worked. It was that about 3 minutes in the first period, and they went up Delta went up 3-0. And then after that, it was kind of a back and forth game. Lucas Lakakis opened up the scoring in the second with his 6th goal of the year. Delta scored 2 more in the second to make it 5-1. And Delta went up 6-1 halfway through the third. And then Ethan Hazelwood for the Tsunami finished with a shorthanded goal in the late third period, unassisted. Again, 5 penalties taken, but penalty kill did extremely well and did not give up a goal. Braxton Becker had 25 saves on 31 shots, and Austin Kindrat came in late in the third, and he had 8 saves on 8 shots to finish the night. Cage Starr got his 9th assist, and Ben Walker got his 15th assist on Lucas Lakakis' 6th goal of the year. So that was Wednesday night. So no rest for the Wicked. Back into Richmond on Thursday. This was a game everyone was looking forward to, and it was a tremendous game. As we've mentioned earlier, they won 4-1. Raiden Parks opened the scoring. Again, in the last minute of the first period. It's unbelievable how many goals are scored for and against by this team in the last minute of a period. But with 5 seconds remaining, Raiden got his 9th goal of the year with assists from Ryan Husser and AP Landon Kelly, who was called up for the game due to injuries. And so it was 1-0 after 1. Ben Walker got his 10th goal about halfway through the second period. Assist goes to Jake Jakubowski. I'm going to get that name right here eventually by the end of the year for his first assist of the year. And Elijah Pierce got his 3rd, and we started to see Elijah Pierce starting to come on in the back end for the Tsunami lately. He's starting to play really well. And so it was 2-0 after 2. Merrick Bell got his 1st of the year. About 5 minutes in, assisted by Taven Delorme and Ethan Hazelwood. So congratulations, Merrick Bell, for his first of the year. Then Raiden Parks got his 10th goal of the year into the empty net, unassisted, and that ended up with a 4-1 final. Austin Kindrat had his best start of the year as he had 40 saves off of 41 shots, earning him the first star. Lars Dierstoff ended up with second star, and Pierce was the third star. 1 for 4 on the power play, and 2-0 on the penalty kill. So another strong penalty kill. But the biggest takeaway from that is in the win, only 2 penalties to kill off. That's the biggest problem. We've talked about that before. Teams in the losses take a lot of penalties, and we get into trouble. So we're looking forward for the rest of the year. Hopefully the kids, it's not always their fault. Sometimes it's the ref's fault. We all know that. But, discipline's going to be key for going on for the rest of the year. To finish up the week, we had the Saturday game at home against Langley. And that, once again, we had struggled at home a little bit. But it started out promising as Kane Law opened the scoring with his 8th of the year early in the game, with Jake Yubowski getting his second assist, and Lucas Lakakis his 3rd assist of the year on that Kane Law goal. But it didn't take long, and Langley tied it up 2 minutes later, and then they took the lead, and the first period ended in 2-1. Then in the second period, Langley scored again a couple times to make the score 4-1 after 2. Langley scored again in the third for a final of 5-1. Bryson Petkow had 2 goals and 2 assists for 4 points, earning him first star honors. Langley was 1 for 9 on the power play. So again, the Tsunami taking quite a few penalties, and the Tsunami themselves were 0 for 4 on the power play. So 13 penalties in all. Shots on goal was 46 for Langley and 27 for Tsunami. Austin Kindret got pulled in the second, but he had 28 saves and 32 shots. Braden Burrows came in and he had 13 saves on 14 shots. Kane Law was awarded the second star. Second star. So that was how that week went. All right, so now let's have a look at the leaders after the week is done for the Coastal Tsunami. The goal scoring leader is Luke Hurton with 16 goals. Regan Kamenko comes into second place with 11, and Raiden Parks is in third place with 10 goals. Assist leader is Spencer Huth with 17. Regan Kamenko is tied with him with 17th, so there's 2. And Raiden Parks comes in there again with 16 assists. Power play goals, Kane Law. He has 4 power play goals, leading the team, and then there's 4 guys tied with 3 apiece, with Raiden Parks, Tavion Delorme, Fox McCall, and Ryan Husser all having three short power play goals apiece. Shorthanded goals, Regan Kamenko and Easton Hazelwood tied there with 1 shorthanded goal apiece. Overall points leaders, top of the board right now is number 8, Regan Kamenko. He's got 11 goals and 18 assists for 28 points in 28 games. Luke Curtin in second place with 16 goals, 12 assists, 28 points in 22 games. Raiden Parks is in third place with 10 goals, 17 assists for 27 points in 28 games. Spencer Huth, 5 goals, 21 assists for 26 points in 31 games for fourth place, and fifth place goes to Ben Walker, local boy, 10 goals, 15 assists for 25 points in 32 games. Totals, team stats we'll go over. Goals for, 102 so far this season. Goals against, 137. So we've got some work there to do, but I'm sure the coaching staff knows that. I don't need to tell them. Power play. It's running at 18% right now, 27 of 140 opportunity, 27 goals on 147 opportunities. Penalty kill overall, 83% rating. 85 on the road and 81 at home. So a little bit better on the road, but not as drastic as the power play. Not that the power play is that drastic either. Goalie stats, Braden Burrows leading the team. He's got a 3.37 goals against average with a .918 save percentage. And Braxton Becker has 4.67 goals against average with a 0.874 save percentage. So a little work to do there, but there's a lot of goals scored in this league. So no shame on them for their stats. Looking good. They've been solid. Our goaltending has been solid. So now we look forward to the upcoming week for the Tsunami. And it's a slow week, only one game this week, and that comes on Sunday in Chilliwack, 5:30 start, live on Flow Sports. They're 1-1 versus Chilliwack this year. They beat them 4-3 in October and then lost 3-2 in November. So both games, just 1-goal games. So it should be an exciting game on Sunday night. And as we talked earlier, the standings right now for the Tsunami, there's 13, 16, and 3. For fifth place, they're 5-4-1 in the last 10. So not bad so far for a second-year team. Like I said, there's been a lot of turnover. We've talked about that before on air, if you watch any of our broadcasts. But it's been a good year so far, in my opinion, as we're over. I can't believe we're past halfway through the season. So that'll do it for the league and team breakdown. Coming up, we have an interview with legend Brad Wingfield, head coach and general manager of the Coastal Tsunami. So I'd like to thank you to keep staying tuned, and we'll be right back after that. All right, now we enter into the interview part of our podcast, and since this is our first podcast, I thought it very important that we have local legend, 12-year plus pro hockey player, and star of Netflix documentary about Danbury Trashers, Coach GM of the your Coastal Tsunami Hockey Club, Brad Wingfield. How you doing today, Brad?
Good, Brady. Excited to have you guys here.
Yeah, I doubt that very much, considering that you dealt with the likes of Dan Patrick and Kyle Hurd and all the greats of the broadcasting that you have to end up talking to me on a Tuesday afternoon.
Local.
But I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah.
So I just want to get to know you a little bit today on our podcast for the people that don't. But like I said, you spent 4 years in the PJHL, Kelowna Spartans, Bellingham Icehawks, the Penticton Panthers, Langley Thunder, and the Royal City Outlaws, correct?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so how was your time in the PJHL?
It was a long time ago, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember, but it's a great developmental league, and it gave me my start and got me into pro hockey. So it was a good experience from what I can remember.
Yeah, and we were at it was the POCO game the other day, and talking to some parents, and one of your old teammates' kids is on the POCO team in it.
That's right, yeah, Jason Delasoy.
Yeah.
I played with him in Bellingham, and tough guy in his own right, and we stay in touch ever since, so it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and then you went on to your pro career. You started in the WPHL with the Central Texas Stampede.
Yeah, that's right, and pretty cool experience there, and got to play for four-time Stanley Cup winner Bob Bourne. So that was pretty exciting times, and we had some Daniel Berthiaume, ex-Winnipeg Jet, LA King, Herb Ragland, St. Louis Blue, Quebec Nordique. So pretty cool first introduction into pro hockey, playing with some of these longtime NHL players.
Yeah, it must have been local kid coming from Gibson, even though you spent some time in Bellingham and other places. Still a small town boy at heart, and then you're off to Texas.
Yeah.
How daunting was that?
Yeah, I didn't even know where I was going or what team it was actually when I first got the tryout, and so pretty wild, and honestly, if I didn't make that team, I didn't really know what I was going to do, and it turned out I made the team, and the groundwork for the future was laid.
So then you spent some time in the WCHL and the IHL, and then you ended up back in the WPHL playing for Corpus Christi?
Yeah, that's right. I think I got back actually in the New Mexico Scorpions after the West Coast League, after the IHL stint there, and was actually picked up in an expansion draft in a beautiful place in Corpus Christi. Reminds me a lot of Victoria, but on the Gulf Coast, so a little warmer weather. So had probably one of my favorite places I played in Corpus Christi. I met some really good friends that I'm still close with today, and had a great experience down there.
Right on. I personally, I've known you a long time.
Very long time.
And I've followed your career, but I missed this part of your career. You went and played in Britain.
I did, yeah. So I'm lucky enough through Ancestry to have a work visa there. So I was a non-import there, and always wanted the opportunity to play there. My dad actually played for the Fife Fires in Scotland, which is in the EIHL still today, a very old team over there. And so always wanted to get over there and had an opportunity there, and it was really good experience, although I didn't stay that long. I was only over there for 2 or 3 months, but I played probably for my favorite coach I ever played for, the best coach I ever had, and he's the head coach of the Burnaby Steelers today, and Enyo Sachalotto.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
There's full circle again,
Yeah,
right? The hockey world's always churning. I find that I played with a guy in Red Deer when I lived there. In the beer leagues, of course, because that's all I am. But he played in the British League for a few years, and he said it was the best experience of his life. He said it was so fun because the fans were like right into it. He said they were almost like Canadian fans. They were so into it because they were all local, and it was a real town feel. And
yeah, they draw really good crowds there, and it's just a European environment, even though they play a North American hockey style, but the fans all sing and chant.
Yeah.
And you get really cool breaks. Their week breaks throughout the year, and everyone just disperses all over Europe and sort of enjoys that part of the life. We're more so in North America, it's just a grind every day, and you don't get that time off. So it was a great experience, one I'll always cherish for sure.
Yeah. And then you came back, spent some time in the AHL with the Hershey Bears.
Yeah, Hershey Bears, Syracuse Crunch, ultimately the Houston Aeros for a bit, that are now, I believe, defunct, or they're the Iowa Wild. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff.
And then, of course, your most famous role, because it ended up on Netflix, the Danbury Trashers.
Yeah, wild experience. It's definitely still that very tough era and gritty era, and that's probably the best I've ever been treated by an organization. So something I'll never forget, and I'll be grateful for the Galantes, and they really do make you feel like family. And it was awesome.
And it also coincided with the NHL strike, so that added to the extra environment because you didn't have the big league to compete with. So
it got quite big there. And, very a lot of people turned to that during that strike, and a lot of players actually ended up coming down to the United League from the NHL to play. So it was pretty electric. A lot of interest, and just cool to be part of.
Yeah, once again, I was in Red Deer at the time, and the senior league there took off, right? Because Gino and Theo Fleury started playing for the team for the Yukon, and they did a buzz tour through Alberta and Innisfail was just out of there, and so it was a kind of a cool time because you got to see some players that you'd never see, but they were just trying to keep their hockey skills together and whatnot. All right, so you've mentioned some of the coaches that you've dealt with and players, but as you start your coaching career, do you find yourself using some of the techniques, and is there players and coaches that you worked with and played for that you steal, not necessarily steal from, but
I think that's a great word, steal. Absolutely, you take what you like from those guys, and you put your own spin on it, and that's part of using experience in your favor. Like a lot of these guys, like I said, I played for coaches that have won 8 Stanley Cups and 15 ex-NHLers. So I'd say in all their stuff I take. You take the stuff you like, absolutely, and pass that on. And Like that's culture, hockey culture. So we do use that, and I do steal. And any coach that doesn't steal drills or culture from other good coaches is, he's probably lying to you.
Yeah, no doubt, because it's like any in a business, you learn from the people above you, right? And you take what you and that's what I think our biggest asset here on the coast is you personally, because of your experiences, your 12 plus years playing pro, the connections you've made, the people you know. How do you feel that helps you with your job?
It's instrumental, like the amount of guys I played with over those 16 years, and guys that are in coaching or scouting roles or management roles. I don't think I'd be able to do this job, or not as well. And I know there's still room for improvement, but you got to rely on those resources of those guys you played with in the past, and I do that.
Right on. Okay, so now we've talked about your pro career. Let's start on with the Tsunami part of this interview. How'd you get involved with the Tsunami?
Yeah, well, it's funny, years ago, I think before COVID and that, there was a group that tried to put a vie for a team, and it sort of fizzled out through COVID, and then it was rekindled and brought to me by a guy named Stu Frizzell that was Sunshine Coast minor hockey president, and worked in the board for about 10 years. So I worked with them for about 10 years.
You did a lot of minor hockey coaching,
yeah,
right?
15 years, I think.
Yeah. Well, we broadcast a lot of your games.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. So Stu came to me one day and just asking, how could we get a team here? And I said, well, I happen to know one guy that was with the Kings when they moved up to Paul River, and that was Rick Hopper, and put those two in touch. And after that, I didn't really have a lot to offer in terms of getting the team, but those guys sure seemed to figure it out.
Yeah. So, and then the team was formed.
Yeah.
And you were hired.
That's right.
Was that what you're planning to do, or was it because of your coastal connections and your connections with Frizzell? Or did you go after the job, or was the job presented to you?
Yeah, no. The opportunity was there to apply, which I did, and then go through the interview process. And not to toot my own horn or anything like that, but I think it was a no-brainer, considering you're starting out from scratch, and not only do you need the player connection, you're going to need some local connections and insight into the local hockey scene. And that, so I just followed the process and was grateful enough to be offered the job. Yeah,
I think, like you say, you had to go through the process, but they would have been ridiculous if they didn't hire you. It would have been the end of the franchise before.
It would have been really tough for someone that doesn't know the lay of the land around here to come in and do.
And know the issues with playing hockey on the coast, because whether it's be minor hockey, because when I grew up, the city wouldn't even play with us. We had our own little, by the time you got there, they started to play us every now and again, right? And then finally, now we have a regular hockey league that the city has to come and play with.
They do that. Another big one too is you sort of have to have a name to get the players to agree to come. So obviously I'm blessed with that, and the Netflix thing did a great thing. Doesn't portray everything that I provide.
No.
But at the end of the day, it's still press, and it's still media, and it's still acknowledgement, where players can look in further to understand who they're coming to play for, and they want to play for ex-pro guys with names in that, and I'm going to use that to my advantage for sure.
Yeah, and the fact that so many people in all levels of all hockey, with coaches, GMs and stuff, they know that you may be able to introduce them, because let's face it, this is a stepping stone. Guys want to come here, and then they want to go on to bigger and better things, and
absolutely,
and you can help them along the way and guide them with not just your own knowledge of what you experienced, right? The decisions you made, the good ones, the bad ones, but also with the people you know.
That's right. It's I know a lot of people, and I find myself well respected in the hockey world. And when I call on players to help move them on, or the players know that people will listen. So
and I think you being through what you've been through, when you actually talk to these players, they understand, what they're going through. When you cut a guy, you know how hard that is. You've been cut before, and you know the disappointment in that, and you know how to turn that into motivation.
Yeah, that's what I tell these guys. I've probably been cut more than all of them combined when I have teams, and it's just about persevering and carrying
determination.
On.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So last year, if you look back at the year, how do you feel about last year, first year in the league? Of course, it's an expansion year.
Yeah.
So, but how do you look back and?
It was tough. It was a tough task. I think we knew it was going to be tough, and you're not happy that it's over, but you're happy that you gained that year of experience and you're better the next time around, and hopefully that just continues and continues. It gets easier and better for not only myself but the organization.
Yeah, and then of course you have your expansion year, and then the next year you have a big league shakeup, right? So you go from, okay, we've got our feet on the ground, to, okay, now we got to readjust to the new league.
Yeah, it's definitely a higher caliber of play, for sure. Our team's a lot better, and you look at the teams that we're facing, and you wonder what it's going to look like in the standings, if there's going to be improvement from last year or not. And I would say at this point of the season that there is improvement on us for sure. But again, just another step and another challenge, and it's not easy.
So you spent some time in the summer traveling across Canada. Was that planned before the shakeup of the league, or was the shakeup of the league part of one of the reasons you did that?
No. We planned that regardless. Once the league was set how it was, we did hire additional help, and Brian McNanny, and he was a big help. He traveled all the way out to Ontario. It was sort of on short notice. Stuff that I'm definitely unavailable to do on having a family here and obligations and responsibilities. But Briar and I scout. That's all we did all summer, scouting camps and recruiting.
You guys did a tremendous job because the talent on this team is there.
Yeah.
Right. Like I watch a lot of hockey. I'm no good at it. I'm just
You like it,
but I love hockey, and I love watching hockey, and I watch hockey all the time. And the first time I saw these guys skate, I was like, okay, this is a different level than last year.
Yeah. So definitely, you can see like what we strive for is consistency, and it's a prime example from last road game to our last home game, and something that we're always working to try to find, and is that consistency, and that takes time. And people talk about hockey culture too, and I can't just ball up hockey culture and throw it against the players, and it's there. These guys starting last year's, we don't have that 3-4 year returning players. We now have second year returning players, but culture takes time, right? And we try to nurture it and bring it along, but ultimately it's up to the players, and it's actually a process of time to get the culture you're looking for.
Yeah, for sure. Like you look at I won't. Of course, everyone's going to boo me, but the Bruins, like you go back, and that's a culture that's been built for 75 years. So they can point to this guy and this guy and that guy, and that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
With an expansion team, there's players now that in 10 years they'll be looking back and these are the guys that built the team, and this is the culture that they started, and like Captain Regan Kamenko, I think he's a great kid, and he's a great example of what the Tsunami should be shooting for, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can't argue with you there. I don't think we would have named him captain if we didn't feel the same way. But we picked him up late at the trade deadline last year, so this will be his first full season under us, and hopefully he passes on, what he's doing, and players pick it up for the future, and that gets passed on to the players. Like a prime example is like the Richmond Sockeyes have been around since 1965. They're like almost self-recruiting. Players want to go to that program. It's been around. They get the same guys back for 3-4 years in a row, and that's something that, although we want to move players on, it's nice to have some guys that have been around to be able to help with that, cultivate that culture.
Yeah, that's a catch-22 because you want teams to come and steal your players from the higher leagues. to help recruit and prove that your program's developing. But it's kind of like you losing those guys that a young expansion team would be nice to have for 3 or 4 years.
Absolutely. So.
All right. So this year,
yes,
not fourth in the league right now or fifth in the league right now. Yeah. Everybody's got a few games in hand. There's 2 definite top teams in this league right now with the Richmond Sockeye and the Ridge Meadow Flames. You've beaten them both.
Yeah.
Consistency, you talked about that. Anybody in sports knows that's the NHL. That's what they're looking for at the NHL. It's guys who are inconsistent, right? It's one of the hardest things to do in sports, and that's why so many guys become Hall of Famers, because Hall of Famers, what are they? They're consistent. They bring it day in, day out, right?
Yeah. So, for sure. We're always on the hunt for that consistency, and some things are out of our control. We've got a really front-end loaded schedule. That's out of our control, where we've played so many more games than other teams, and then injuries are a big one. We just have to deal with that as it comes, like every other team. Do we get hit a bit harder early on? Absolutely we did, but I believe if you stick to the process, it'll come full circle by the end of the year. And although maybe not ideal, the front-loaded schedule, I think it'll benefit us leading into the playoffs, where we get a little more relaxed schedule and can get healthier and time to practice a bit more. So we look forward to that. And although we don't want to rush things, the season's just flying by.
Yeah, we're well past the halfway mark. It's for me, this is my first year with the team, and I can't believe how fast it's going. I was just looking at the schedule. I'm like, oh my God, we're like well past the halfway mark, and it feels like we just got started the other day.
Yeah.
Like you said, front end loaded schedule. It's been a grind. On the coast, we're at a disadvantage because of the travel, right? But so far, our road record isn't half bad, and we've had some of our biggest victories on the road.
Yeah, for sure. We a lot better than last year, for sure. There's always room to improve. We'll just keep at it, and it'd be nice to, I don't know, maybe we got to start treating some home games like road games.
Yeah, because realistically, what I thought, in my stupid little brain was, okay, try to get, close to 500 on the road, but be unbeatable at home, right?
That's
having a fortress of solitude at home, because we have an advantage over every other team in the league, and that's our supporters, right? There's no other support in the league like our supporters, and it's loud, and they're as Steve said the other night, they're out for blood. They love the physicalness of the game. So how do we get better at home? How do you strive for?
Yeah, well, there's a few different things that come with that. The big time support from the local community, and it can play against us that the players feel a bit nervous maybe in front of the home crowd. I think everyone loves to play in front of a big crowd. And then do the other teams get up because there is a big crowd that they're not used to? So those are some factors. And at the end of the day, you just got to go out and play hockey. It's up to us, the staff, to prepare them to be ready. And we'll see what comes the second half. Hopefully we can get a little better at home. Ultimately, you want to be about a .750 winning percentage at home. And like you said, you're talking 500 on the road. So we got half of that done in the first half here. We'll just look to if we can tighten up here at home.
It's an unusual year as everyone makes the playoffs. Not too many times that happens. Is it just whatever? You don't worry about it, or is it a little more? It's harder because you have something to focus on. You got to finish eighth, or you got to finish in the playoffs. So you have that to use as motivation, but you don't have that to use as motivation.
Well, I think the motivation is you want to finish as high as you can and try to clinch at least home ice advantage in the first round. Absolutely, that's our goal, is just to finish as high as we can. Hopefully, could we finish in the top four? I think we could. Part of that starting to get out of our control will be because we played so many games and see what these teams do with games in hand on us. But you just want to finish as high as you can to give you the best chance for home ice advantage come playoff time.
All right, well, Brad, I don't want to keep you any longer. I really appreciate it. I could sit here and talk to you all day. You know, I could talk about hockey all day. But
Well, me too.
I really appreciate it. I know you got work to do. So thanks for your time, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, pleasure being here. Thanks for having me.
Good luck the rest of the year.
Thanks, Brady.
All right. Well, that was a great interview with Brad. I appreciate him giving his time to us. So that'll do it with our first podcast of the year, the Watchtower Weekly, as we're going to call it. Appreciate you tuning in and watching. We're going to try to bring one of these to you every week to keep you updating on the ongoings of the Coastal Tsunami and their journey through the PJHL season. Hopefully you found it okay to watch. We're going to get better. First attempt at this, so I know there's room to improve, and I hope to improve better so that you keep coming back to get all your Coastal Tsunami information. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. See you next week on Watchtower Weekly.